I stayed out of Danny Nelson's that time. I stayed out there for a while. I had no paper. I took me home, and Mike Rose found his vehicle.
Oh, God, that's the way to John.
Hey, I'll do it again.
Hello, my name is Jim Prostrollo. Ironically, Tom Erickson and I were really good friends, strange bedfellows, but very good friends. We've been on a lot of trips together, not necessarily overseas deployments, but a lot of trips together. Each and every one of them had something unique to them. For instance, we would go and end up at our National Guard Bureau, which is similar to the Air Force's Pentagon. And we would go there to get information for our supervisor's course for technicians. Well, on the way back, I didn't know Tom was a private pilot. And we were flying back from Washington, D.C. to Chicago O'Hare, when halfway through the flight, we blew an engine, very loud, you couldn't miss it, and people were panicked, but not Tom, because, well, like I said before, he was a pilot for some organization, some company. He was kind of a cargo pilot, as it turned out, but he was very calm and was explaining to me that it's nothing to fly on 3 engines. In fact, he had flown twin engine planes, and it was nothing for him to fly on just a single engine until he got to the nearest airport. Well, these people around us, and everybody is strapped in, they're seatbelted in, and they're scared to death, are eavesdropping in our conversation. Pretty soon, they're all leaning in, listening to Tom Erickson explain, just relax, you're going to be okay. And he started giving some of the finer points that you'd find in a tech order about how this plane was made to fly on just 2 to maybe even 1 engine. And by the time we landed in O'Hare, they gave Tom a standing ovation and many hugs to go around. He was a rock star at that time, and that's when I found out his middle name was Rockley. So that just seemed to work out perfectly. But a couple other stories with Tom was him and I were 40-hour supervisor course instructors for the technician force, and we'd have to go to Camp Rapid out in Rapid City for training, and sometimes I would drive, and sometimes he would drive. But it was amazing. It didn't matter who drove. Our cars just happened to know when it got to Wall, South Dakota, to go straight to the down Main Street of Wall, South Dakota, right to the Badlands Bar, because they had taps for 25 cents. We would go in there in the daylight, and some odd reason, we come out, it was dark. And that's where we had our problems. But we were only an hour away from Camp Rapid, so we made it there okay. But boy, did the stories, and that's when I learned that Tom was a storyteller. Holy cow. These stories, I'm telling you, I can do it in about 10 minutes. It would take him hours to tell these stories. And the third story I'm going to tell real quickly is when we were in Camp Rapid, he wanted to take me to a place called Rochford, South Dakota. Never heard of it, but I believed in Tom. So we go up to Rochford because we got to find this place called the Moonshine Gulch Saloon. I thought, well, that sounds pretty cool. Well, it was the biggest dump I'd ever seen. They had featured in there, we're going to go eat there. We had freezer burnt steaks, lettuce that you didn't have a choice of, and the mom that was up there gave us our side of dressing, and it was French. We didn't have a choice. And there was this dog that this beautiful golden lab was just sitting up there. The beers were stacked wall to wall with about 2 to 3 inches of dust on them, but that didn't bother either one of us. They bring us beer, brought us our food. The food was nasty, but luckily that dog, and I can't remember the dog's name because this has been 3 decades ago, minimum, that dog would scarf down our food. We were best of friends with that dog. The beer was okay. It was a little skunky, but it was okay. So I had some good times with Tom, and I will never forget where I was at. It's kind of like where I was at when I learned about JFK being assassinated. The day I got the info about Tom and that accident. I will close with this. There was no finer person in my life than Tom Erickson, a great Marine, a great guardsman, just the perfect friend. Thank you.
Well, Tom and I first met when I worked at Business Aviation. Tom was flying part-time for business, and he was also flying the mail route. And then got to know him a little better when he was working full-time with the Air Guard. And prior to me joining the Air Guard myself, eventually I ended up with a full-time job also, working in the hydraulic shop. And Tom and I had, besides working together at the Air Guard, we had a connection with our military service. We're both Vietnam vets. Tom with the Marines and me with the Navy, so we took a little enjoyment in poking fun at each other because of the Navy-Marine connection there. And there is probably not one single Marine insult that I haven't delivered to Tom, and Tom, vice versa, delivering the Navy insult to me. It's just the way it is between those two services, and Tom was always a great guy to work with, very competent, very serious about what he did, and an excellent mechanic and avionics guy. So he will be missed forever. And I'd like to think that he was a good friend, and I was a good friend of his.
Well, I guess we'll start off. Ballpark's not here, so I don't have my sidekick to tell us all the stories that Tom probably dreaded, but I did tell the family the story about when we were in Alaska. Tom was kind of running the trip. Linda happened to come up that weekend, so he asked me if I would run the maintenance crew that weekend because we had a couple broke jets. So we did. Right by the flight line, they had a cage where they had a couple bald eagles in that was kind of unique to the base and stuff like that. So Tom came back on Monday and asked me how things went, and yeah, we got the jets fixed and all that. But I told him we had a slight problem this weekend. So when we did the high-powered run, we didn't realize the eagles were in the cage behind us. You might be hearing from the base commander, and he just looked at me like, you got to be kidding me. and didn't say a word after that. We're in the truck, and he's driving the flight line, and we circle around, and we go up to where the cage is at, and he stops, and he looks, and there's the bald eagles, and they're alive. You're lying to me, right? Yep. You son of a bitch.
So one of the things I would start with is, Tom hired me as a new supervisor into avionics, and I'd worked with him for a lot of years, but didn't fully understand how it was going to be working with him. So we'd been working together for a month or two, and we were at the club one night, and Linda was there, and Linda came up to me and she says, one thing you need to know when you're working with Tom is when he gets to telling the story, you gotta look him in the eyes and say, and the short version is, as you all know, Tom liked to spend some time telling stories. So that helped me out a lot in my time working with Tom.
And on that note, I think we could all tell Tom's stories. As soon as he got going, we could all finish his stories for him because we heard them so many times. But he enjoyed them. Good on him.
And we were entertained by it. And we would always embellish a little bit if he didn't.
Just a bit.
Yeah, so with Ballpark not being here, we're missing out on a lot of the big show. The Big Dummy, as he'd been referred to at times. So you want to share any of the pranks?
Well, a couple of them were Tom's office, and if you haven't been out there, you wouldn't know what it was. By his door, there's this window that ran by it. Ballpark covered it up and dumped it full of packing peanuts, so it looked like the entire office was full of peanuts. So when Tom came back from the deployment, he wouldn't open up his door. Another time, I don't remember where he was at, built a platform in his office, put his desk up on top of it, had the Marine Corps flag in the corner, had it set up so as soon as you opened up the door, the Marine Corps anthem started playing and the flag started unraveling. So, yeah, that's your taxpayers' dollars at work.
And the worst part about it for Tom was he didn't feel like he was in control. And he liked to be in control of things. So it was entertaining to see it all go down. But at any rate, that's just some of the fun we had with Tom.
Ready to go here. This is Scooby. Yeah, I was going to tell a few stories. We'll try to keep it calm and nice. Tom and I started carpooling together. He was living up on Highway 77. So I used to come across from Centerville, and we'd meet at his place, and we'd go from there. And down the line, we'd jump on the interstate. And after a while, there got to be a few more. Kay rode with us. We had Gary Bach. We had Lynn Ellis. Just a group, you never knew who was riding. Then when Tom moved to Beersford, we started meeting at the Canton exit. So we'd meet there. I remember one time in the fall, I guess, and Tom was a hunter. Gary Bach was riding with us. He was a hunter. And we were working 5 days then, so we were off at like 4:30. So in the fall, we'd throw our shotguns in. We'd road hunt on the way home. So we'd pull in, a little different back in them days. I guess I'd challenge anybody right now to try throw two 12 gauges in the front seat and drive on base. See how close you get. Well, we did get pheasants on the way home once in a while too. And then I remember this was Tom's idea, and Lynn Ellis helped him out a lot on this one. Gary Bach was working over in the palace. He was in personnel. He was a master sergeant. We thought that got a pretty good deal, you know, for us. None of us were master sergeants yet. And he decides he's going to be a commissioned officer. We thought, boy, that sounds kind of silly. So he goes to OCS school. He comes back, and so these Lynn and Tom got this idea together, and so here comes, we pick up Gary, and he gets in the car. He goes, he's lieutenant now, you know, he got his bar on, and that was a pretty good deal. Well, we get to the main gate, and we stop there. Tom gets out, and he gets, Lynn hands him, they had two flags he got from the funeral home that they put on the car. So we put two American flags on the front of the car. We come in the main gate, drove around base with him in the car, and we pull up to the palace. We get out, and everybody stands at attention, salutes, and Lieutenant Bach went to work for the first day. So we had a lot of fun. Stories asked about, everybody talked about their kids. It was just a great time. Missed the guy terrible. But we're all getting old, I guess, and life goes on. But the memories never fade. They're always there every day of the year. So thank you to the family for sharing one great guy with me. We had a lot of fun together. Thank you.
All right, let me introduce myself. I'm Tom Campbell. Tom was actually my boss, and we have great names, okay? But I just want to let you know that I appreciate Tom. He was more of a brother than a boss to me. When I first met him, he introduced me to pilots, took me over to debrief, and right away I could tell that he respected the pilots, he respected the situation we were in, and they respected him too. He knew what he was doing. He was a pilot himself, not a fighter pilot, but I knew he flew airplanes. He used to kid me about aircraft identification all the time, and he would bring flip cards in. Tom, what's this? It's a C-130. No, it's a 141. And he would always just kind of always giving me crap, it seems like. But we had a lot of fun. I appreciated him as a boss for 3 to 4 years that I had him. But anyway, I sure do miss him. I think about him all the time. He was my mentor. He helped me get to where I was, or where I got to be, actually. That's about it, Jimmy. Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say I was sorry to hear about Tom's passing, and Tom was a great guy, and I enjoyed softball trips we went on. It was awesome, and we had so much fun at the Fab Opens, golfing together, and he always liked to talk and just have fun out at the guard base, and had a lot of fun at Christmas parties out there. I mean, stay out there till late night and then tell the security police to tell you time to go. But he was just a great guy and a great friend, and I miss him and loved him.
All right. I just want to say Tom Erickson was a special friend. I didn't know him well, but my wife was in the guards, and so I know all you guys. And I just want to say when she said it was a dedication to Tom Erickson down here at Beersford, I said, I want to come down and see him, because I remember Tom, we'd go to the Fab Open and we'd play golf, and we always had a good time and stuff, and it was always a good time. And then Yeah, he was a really nice guy who always talked to you, and he just he liked to have a good time, and guess that's what I like to do too. But I just want to say my sympathy to your family. Tom was, like I said, a great guy, and I just want to say sorry about the loss of Tom, and I just think that was a good dedication day about Tom. So he had a lot of friends and family here, and I think everybody had a great time. So I think I guess all I can say is rest in peace, and we'll see you in heaven someday. Thank you.
An honor, okay, to be sitting here with you.
Oh, thank you.
It really is. It really is. It's an honor to be sitting here with you. Because one little story I got for you is I started out there in 1984. So, and I didn't know anybody. And I was, believe it or not, I was quiet, didn't drink a drop of alcohol for the first 12 years I was in the Air National Guard.
Wow.
So now, that's a story in and of itself because
I didn't know that.
I was the crew chief, and them boys, they know how to put them away, I can tell you that. So when we deploy, I drive. But the first time I met Tom, that I really remember meeting him, he coming out into the hangar, he's doing this with his glasses, and he stops, and he goes, "Eddie." And I'm like, "Eddie? My mom calls me Eddie. Nobody calls me Eddie. But he called me Eddie."
Okay.
And he puts his glasses up like this, and he goes, "Them damn guys."
Ah.
And I'm like, huh.
Park and County.
So after getting to know people, my assumption was Park and County must have something going on there. Because, you know, and of course Tom's intimidating. He's a big guy, you know, Marine, big dude. So you didn't want to, you know, me being this young guy, like, I don't want to cross this guy. He's too big. So, yeah, so that's one of my little stories for you. I thought that was it, but he's a big man with a big heart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
Well, I can say honestly, I learned a lot from Tom. About the two mischievous ones too.
Yes,
but,
the devious ones.
But the biggest thing there was I didn't know. You know, I knew Tom for maybe a couple of years when I first got in, and I got it in '86. But I didn't know that he worked fuel systems when he was in the Marines. Well, he was avionics. I don't know the Marine lingo, but he knew how things worked, and so when we always had fuel quantity problems, he was Johnny on the spot. He was always able to steer us in the right direction, I guess.
Did he come and tell you, maybe try this?
Yeah, he had his subtle way of hinting about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What, did you get the long version or the short version?
You know, it happened a lot. So there was both, I would say.
Yeah.
Depending on what day it was, you know.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, great guy, and sometimes learned a lot from him.
Sometimes maybe took him a little bit to get to where he wanted to get the point to.
Yeah.
And I got a short attention span, so I could come in later and go, okay, that's what he wanted.
Yeah. Well, his wife had a short attention span too. And
I think he needed to learn, you know, who you were first. And then, now I can tell this way. Right. No,
he had a hard time getting into the guards. He had enough of the military coming out of Vietnam.
Yeah,
Clyde Rabb was the one that kept bugging him to.
Clyde really?
Rabb. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they worked together at Sioux Falls Aviation.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Neither did I.
Tom,
That's a name I haven't heard for a while either. Clyde Rabb. I haven't heard that for a while. Yeah.
Another good guy.
Well, I'm glad that we got to sit with you a little bit, talk to you a little bit, because
I love the turnout. This has been great.
Yeah, this is a great thing. It's a great group of people. Larry and I about the same length careers and stuff, and started very close to the same time, and so we got, in my mind, the best of what the Air Guard had for mentors to offer. We got some really good people we got to work with, and Tom for certainly was one of them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you for sure. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, you bet.